the wolf of professional wrestling has returned to AEW.
Not the lone wolf.
No, not the lone wolf, or not Wolf from Gladiators in the mid-90s. Although that would be awesome.
Do you know he was in Squid Games?
What?
Yeah.
Wolf from 90s Gladiators in the UK?
Yeah, was one of the cast members on the actual version of Squid Games that they did.
You mean the challenge of the reality show?
Yeah.
Why didn't they focus on that guy?
Well, I don't know, but my friend was also in it. And he actually got really far. Never got a talking head.
Well, we're talking about MJF because he finally returned to TV, not last week, which might have been a good idea, following Double or Nothing when he returned there. And we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the AEW Dynamite review podcast on the WrestleTalk podcast channel. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below. Go support us on Patreon at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where there's loads of exclusive videos you can have right there. And sending your Omega chats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5. But let's start with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He came down to the ring. There was no opening credits for the show.
Cold open. Just put Max out there. You mentioned this last week. Actually, we both mentioned this last week. Felt like you probably should have been on the show last week. I get that you don't want to overload your shows, considering that was the criticism coming out of Double or Nothing, was there was too much on this broadcast. So the idea is to take a step back and let's do a pared down version of the show, then just focus on a few key things. Like Tony Storm wasn't on the show last week either. I would argue, though, that Maxwell Jacob Friedman probably should have been on the show. Yeah. And the social media numbers certainly reflect that. The reason why we've led with him today is because everything else that they posted up YouTube videos and in that sort of 40, 50, 60,000 mark, MJF won 250,000. Like, it was far and away the most interesting thing. So
it's the bots.
Yeah, well, so you've got to... putting him out, first thing, no credits, just boom there, try and pop that quarter-hour rating.
He got a thunderous reaction. Only Will Ospreay is getting this level of reaction in AEW right now, I would say. And he comes down to the ring, and like the start of an Edgar Wright movie, he gave you a rundown of what he's going to be doing for the rest of the feature-length movie.
Yes.
Which is Okada. He walks around saying he's the Rainmaker, but he can't afford a gym membership. Body shame. Swerve Strickland. You're a business mogul. Well, at business school, didn't they teach public speaking? Barry's another wrestler. And then he comes on to Will Ospreay and he just says, "You're British with your bad teeth."
And you've got bad teeth.
And that was all he said about Will. I thought, Will got off quite lightly there.
Well, he also said that you're walking around claiming to be the best wrestler on the planet, bruv. Well, bruv, I'm actually the best wrestler on the planet.
That's your more classic Jericho, I build you up in the promo, and I just say I'm better. Whereas Okada and Swerve, he actively brought down, which makes me think Ospreay beats MJF. when that happens.
MJF has beaten the other two.
Oh, yeah. He's a smart guy. So yeah, he's done this in the past. He's come back and cut a promo and referenced a bunch of names, and those have turned out to be the people he would wrestle. It's a common thing. Edge has done it. CM Punk did it.
Absolutely, yeah. And like it's funny when he was running down Ospreay rather, he was talking about like, yeah, you say you're the greatest people on the wrestling map, but Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, who's beaten them? I have. And I was like, oh, Will's also beaten them on AEW TV, no less.
Yeah. So how would you do this? Because Swerve and Ospreay are with each other for at least the next month. Okada seems like the first obvious next person.
I guess so, yeah. And if you're running this in order of how he's run this down, you can do Roosh. Feels like that's a TV feud. Like, the title of this video, what's next? It's Roosh. Roosh is the answer. They did a quite a good little pull-apart brawl, actually. I thought it was quite fiery.
Well, it's because to Roosh, it's a real brawl. They had to restrain him.
Well, yeah, because otherwise you get the Harns. And
the Harns.
The Harns. You get the Harns Mole Man. So you do Roosh, and then you go into the program with Okada. I don't know whether you do that over the Continental Championship.
feels like a step down for Max.
But it's not. Rainmaker has elevated it up a little bit. Like it is on one of the biggest stars that they have.
Yeah, and that shows how devaluing some of the titles are in AEW. That I'm more into an Okada MJF match without that belt.
Without the belt. I actually agree. And then you do Swerve. Like Swerve is MJF's title program. That's Swerve's next title program after the Ospreay one.
If we're going to play this out, and there's been a few spanners in our booking works from last week, which I love, by the way, because it just makes AEW feel unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it feels like all the big stars are going against all the big stars, which I really feel has been missing in the last, maybe this year, 4 months definitely. Ever since Joe and Hook, right? That was my last real... Oh, actually, Swerve and Hangman and Joe, that all that stuff. Since Swerve won the title, I suppose, is what I'm saying. So a whole 5 weeks.
Oh, they're not giving me Gunther Dragunov already. Oh, God.
But what was I saying there?
You were talking about the unpredictability.
Because a lot of AEW booking it's Edge versus Daniel Garcia. It's Daniel Bryan versus Kyle O'Reilly. Gonna love that match. I know who's winning. And it's because they're not booking and focusing on your AEW 6. And not just the AEW 6 and they all have a title and their own separate divisions. It's like, no, here's your 6 and they're always in contention in either blood feuds or number one contenderships for the world title.
Yeah.
And when you've got the return of MJF, you've got Swerve as champion, you've got Ospreay as his next challenger, and you've got Danielson this is the most exciting thing in the episode for me. Danielson later on says he's going to enter the Owen Hart tournament because he wants to go for the world title at Wembley because last year in wrestling, he's lost too much. That's 4 tippity top guys.
It also makes me feel like maybe we're skipping ahead slightly to that part of the episode. I wonder if Danielson is going to win the tournament, because if Ospreay's going in as champion, which is certainly a possibility that you could go through, then like Danielson Ospreay, first time ever, I believe it's first time ever, and it will likely be possibly the only time ever.
Danielson Ospreay, Dynasty.
Oh yeah,
best match of all time.
Literally did it a couple of months ago.
5 weeks.
Yeah, but
that's what we're saying. They put on too many great matches. You can't remember them all.
Having a dynasty, but like that is a big time rematch you could do as the main event of Wembley, in particular what is going to be, because I think that is then the end of Danielson's run. I think they were saying like Wembley, like All In's going to be like his last date as a full-time guy.
Yeah, that's so exciting, and there's so many different. That Danielson doing that makes me go, maybe Ospreay does beat Swerve at Forbidden Door. Or maybe Ospreay loses to Swerve. He has to go through the Owen Hart tournament, and that's how him and Danielson clash.
That's the final, is Ospreay Danielson there. Danielson again falls short in a tournament final to get to that world title picture, so you can do Ospreay Swerve too.
Does Nigel McGuinness cost Danielson the tournament? MJF, Okada. It's like in the glory year of 2000 WWF, it was Kurt, Rock, not Stone Cold, Triple H, Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like they were all just battling, sometimes Jericho, all over that top belt.
I remember there is a show in 2000. I can't remember exactly which show it is, so the chat will be able to sort of back me up on this. There is a show where it is just Kurt Angle versus Undertaker. And that is like one of the 3 main events on that show. Not for a world title. It's just, well, they're massive stars. We have to put them on show. It's Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker.
So I'm really excited by this direction. But before any of that, I mean, before we get on to Roosh and the rest of the segment, how do you book the next half year of Max?
I mean, that's tough. So Roosh for me again feels like a TV thing. So that feels like that is the main event of a Dynamite, maybe a main event of a Collision. I'd probably put it on Dynamite to try and pop a big rating for that show. I don't know what you do with him at Forbidden Door. I suppose it's almost like 0.1 of that. And that might be because I've cards on the table. I didn't think this was a great episode of Dynamite. Like, I thought it was a fine episode of Dynamite.
I agree.
And I think one of the things that made me feel like it was so fine is that it doesn't feel like we're on the road to Forbidden Door. You know what I mean? Like,
there was Volador Jr. on this show. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Excalibur could keep telling me this is the great thing about Forbidden Door, but I'm looking at a TNT ladder match. It's got 2 guys from AEW in it so far, and a world title match that's 2 AEW guys. So it doesn't feel like it's Forbidden Door season at the moment.
Where's Great O'Khan?
That's my question. Like, finally someone's asking it. So I don't know what you do with Max at Forbidden Door. Particularly because Roosh probably won't be able to be on that show. He's a AAA guy, right? Has he got connections to AAA?
I think Roosh. I'm pretty sure he's pissed off a bunch of people. I can't remember.
Of course he's getting pissed off.
I can't remember which Mexican promotion he totally burned.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Because if it's AAA, then that's fine. He can be on the show then. If it's CMLL, though, he's not allowed to be on that show. So I don't know what you do with MJF at Forbidden Door, but I don't think you want to be holding off on him doing a world title program too long. You certainly can do, because I think that's the strength of the AEW roster. But you do also have the Cole match sort of in your back pocket. And I think you could do MJF Cole 2 at All In.
If Cole's healthy. Sounds like it's taking longer than expected.
Perhaps, yeah. So that again, it all depends on that, I suppose. What about you? What are you thinking?
It's tough. I think, Roosh TV main event, that feels right. I don't know, Ishii at Forbidden Door.
I'd actually love an Ishii match.
Can't think of anything else really that is at Max's star power.
I mean, him and Naito.
Yeah, but then that has to be for the... Oh no, Moxie's the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the New Japan don't have enough top stars right now because they're all in AEW. So it's hard to book.
It is, yeah. So you got to do the Roosh match. You don't really know what to do for Forbidden Door. So, I mean, okay, my question I would change to you then, because I think we're kind of floundering a little bit on trying to do, like, let's do a month-to-month booking of MJF. That is not my style of podcasting. I always fumble at those sorts of things. What do you do? When do you put him into a world title program?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that either. Because I want Ospreay to win. I now want Danielson to win because he's lost so much and it's his final year or whatever. I don't know.
Do you put MJF in the Owen?
I don't know. Let's see if there's any ideas in the Omega chats.
I will say, talking about the segment overall, I have seen some criticism of the segment that Max went to the old tried and tested, English isn't your first language. I could probably make fun of that a little bit, and all these Americans here, who it is their first language, will have a good giggle at it. And I think those are some fair criticisms to level at this segment. But when he cut a promo on him in Spanish, which apparently was quite sweary, I thought it was really good. And I thought the pull apart brawl, to your point where you said Roosh thinks that this is all real, did have some real intensity, and it made me feel like this is how good I thought the pull apart brawl was. It made me feel like they've been feuding for ages.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah.
And it's not. It's Roosh has cut one promo on last week's show.
I'll put over another bit that Max did. This is someone at the top of their craft and just can control an audience without missing a beat, because he called Roosh a Nepo baby from Roosh's wrestling lineage, and someone in the crowd, maybe a few, started chanting Nepo baby, and Max just said, don't do that.
Yep.
And I thought, I know Wrestling Heel, please guys, don't chant Nepo baby.
It'd be terrible if you did that.
But he genuinely meant it, because he was in the middle of them building Roosh up and saying, but you overcame that and you became a star here and here and here. Because MJF, it's in his best interest to make Roosh look awesome, so he looks awesome when he beats him. So when he just did that, and the crowd respected Max enough to just go, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I was so impressed.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Also, I particularly enjoyed Roosh saying that he spent all of this year wrestling matches. No, you haven't, mate.
I looked on Cage Match because I thought, well, Rampage.
Yeah.
And he has wrestled twice on Rampage and once on Collision. That's it for AEW all year.
Yeah. But, maybe has he done elsewhere?
I think he's done about 8 matches in total this year.
Right. Well, it's more than Max has. We have an update on that, by the way. So Rush and Dragon Lee were fired by CMLL in 2019 because they wrestled on a Ring of Honor show instead of a CMLL show.
Cool.
So he will be allowed to be on Forbidden Door then. Well, unless of course CMLL don't want him on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed out the CMLL part there. They might hate him.
Yeah, that was in 2019. That was ages ago. That was before a pandemic happened.
Yeah. Mexican wrestling famously doesn't hold grudges. Let's see what you think about Max's booking in the Omega Chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. Send them in there. Andy Sandbox says, morning, guys. MJF's promo back was pretty good. Rush Cat in a promo was great, and they had a really fun pull-apart. Is this a Forbidden Door match, or can we please get this next week? I would not mind it next week.
Neither would I. I think if it was next week, they would have announced it, though.
As to what's next, are we going to be unhappy if MJF doesn't quickly get back to the main event scene? His tweener roll, nice jacket, puts him in a position where he can just jackjaw with a bunch of mid-card acts he hasn't wrestled before, and maybe we can get some excitement out of it all, not the main event for 2024, I think. I think Max is a main event star. You treat him as such. He's spent 6 months out. That's your break from the main event. He needs to get back in there.
I think the key to it for me is having him in with main event talent, main event level talent. Kind of like what we were talking about with Swerve. Like he had that program with Christian. And while Christian is a big star within AEW, he doesn't feel like a tippity top star. And now they've immediately put him into a program with a tippity top star in Will Ospreay. And all of a sudden that feels like it's elevated both Swerve and the AEW World Championship. So I think you need to be doing a similar thing with MJF. This Rush thing, I think, is very good, and I think it will result in a very good match. But what you don't want to do is suddenly feel like it's mid-card JF.
Yeah. Mid-JF.
Yeah.
And Andy finishes here. As for the show itself, do you feel like it had a lot of content packed in and didn't feel rushed? Rooshed, should I say? Lots of wrestlers in each segment before, during, and after matches, and I thought the pace was steady throughout all good matches.
That's what we were saying earlier. I think that they have taken on the criticisms of Double or Nothing, which packed in too much into its 5.5 hours, to let segments breathe. Don't pack the show with too much stuff.
And not too many great wrestling matches either. Like, be a bit more restrained there, so there is a reason to watch the pay-per-views.
I was concerned that we were going to get an in-ring Jericho segment. It was like before the main event, I was like, oh, we're going to get... The show's actually it's pretty well paced. Let's not slow this down. But they didn't. They just went straight to the main event. And I was like, oh, great. This feels like it's the right time that the main event has come around.
Caleb Cannon says, been a minute since I've sent a chat. I hope you guys are doing well. I really enjoyed last night's episode, especially the 4-way and the BCC match. I don't love that our former champ returns to feud with Jericho and Rush. I don't know, what does IMK mean?
Yeah. LMK, could that be?
LMK? Let me know if I'm being glib.
Let me know. Yeah, let me know, perhaps.
Former champs return to feud with Jericho.
So that's Joe.
Right. Yeah. Joe's post-title loss booking has been abysmal.
Yeah, it's not been great. But it's again, I think it's the presentation not presentation. It's the perception of Jericho, I suppose. That sounds like it's a new gimmick that he can have once this one's wrapped up. The perception of Jericho, in that. We as the Mark fans, as Disco Inferno would call us, the Mark podcast can be here being like, oh, what, Jericho? No, that seems like such a step down for Joe, former world champion. But Jericho constantly draws the highest rated segments. So in theory, is he not one of the biggest stars on the show? It's kind of like Orange Cassidy. Like Orange Cassidy is always constantly the number 1 merchandise seller. So is he not one of the biggest stars in the promotion? Doesn't that... So it shouldn't feel like it's a mid-card thing going in with him.
Rafael Garcia says, MJF Rush is a great prospect until you think about the fact that MJF is coming off of injury and Rush only knows one style of match, which is Max Payne. No relation to the video game. It probably makes Forbidden Door because of Long Island. Wasn't a fan of the what chance. Yes, so he must be on Forbidden Door.
Yeah, it must be. It could be, yeah. Max certainly has to be on the show.
Maybe it's someone from TNA. Maybe it's Goldberg.
Could you imagine? That's a Forbidden Door right there.
He could do Wardlow.
That doesn't feel like a Forbidden Door match.
No. What does, though, these days? Keep sending those in and we'll read them all out over $5 before the end of the show. So the show opened with the MJF segment. Then we get a Roddy Strong training promo. Thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was good, yeah.
Shall we get this out of the way now? Did you see how Roderick Strong got this shot?
Yeah, he asked Tony Khan. Yeah. Positive to take away from this. This is sort of thing that we were fancy booking last week about the Casino Gauntlet match. Hey, I was next out. I'd lost my chance because I came in too late. I think that's quite good to kind of get over the format of the match. Slightly undermines the match if someone can then just say, like, can I just have the world title match next week instead then? And Tony Khan, with a big grin on his face, goes like, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'll make it official for Dynamite next week. Coupled with, well, what's Christopher Daniels then?
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't this Daniels?
Yes, yeah. Why wasn't it Daniels?
Yeah.
I just want to sort of talk about this because last week I felt like I was speaking another language when I said this Daniels stuff makes no sense. I would say my fears came immediately true.
I would put forward in my defense of my defense I had last week. It did make sense. Until they then shot that angle. In which case, and that was like, oh, what is Christopher Daniels then? Because the character you presented on Dynamite did make sense until you did that. Then it no longer makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I think I'd take your point. I think that your pessimistic attitude towards it perhaps was founded. But it was not founded until they bollocksed it.
Okay, 4 days later.
Oh, it wasn't that far. It was like 2 days later.
Yeah. So I'm not into the AEW Elite thing anymore.
I liked the Bucks on this. I wish they weren't. I wish they weren't feuding with the Acclaimed.
I know, what the hell. All right, we'll get on
that.
So then we got a really good 4-way: Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Jay Lethal, Ray Phoenix. The winner gets a shot at Will Ospreay's international title next week.
Gee, I wonder who's getting pinned here. Like, you were talking about. It's all about like the unpredictability of the show. I didn't know which of the three was going to win, but I knew for certain which one was not going to be the one getting the win, and was certainly having his shoulders at the mat.
But I was like, come on, Ray Phoenix, please. It's got to be Ray Phoenix. Kyle O'Reilly just had the shot. Cassidy, they did have a bit of a showdown in the gauntlet match. I thought it's going to be Cassidy, isn't it? When it was Ray Phoenix, I was so happy. Really exciting stuff. Very fast-paced match. I just thought, because and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Forbidden Door match isn't for the international title.
Just for the world title. So
in my head, there's this idea, Will could lose the international title.
I think, what I like that about next week's show is that there is now this, I don't know. Because you could just have Will possibly, Willie 2 belts. It's always a possibility. Or you could just have him drop the belt. If he does drop the belt next week, I think then this was not his original trajectory towards when he first came in.
It's a bit of a who attacked Mercedes Moné sort of deal, Well, and like, I don't think he will lose the belt. What I'm saying is there is a seed of doubt there, which is really useful to tell in that match that they have. In that case, Phoenix should win strong.
Do you not think he won strong here?
No, he was selling the leg, and then he did an almost desperation roll-up of Jay Lethal.
Took advantage.
Yeah. I would just have him win with his finishing move.
Which is?
The flip. I would have him win with a move. When I see it, I'll know it.
Look, Wikipedia. Why don't you have that section anymore?
Yeah. I have to go to what's the website? FPW database.
IWD. IWD. That or just ask Tempest. What is his finish? I'm not asking you now. I go to Tempest and be like, what is this guy's finish?
Fear Factor?
Made in Japan?
Did you see a bit in this where Excalibur's voiceover teleprompter was put up full screen?
No, I did not.
So
was it during the commercial break?
No, it was in the show.
No
he was
way.
doing a sponsor read for Woo Energy.
Yeah.
And for about 2 seconds, the whole script was overlaid over the screen. And at the top it said, Woo Energy lower third promo VO. I was like, you are 5 years into live broadcast now.
I mean, you say that, but WWE missed the ending of their own show, and they've been on the air for 30 years.
Yes, those things happen. And I would say that's more of a timing thing.
I would say these things happen. Like, it's live TV. Mm-hmm. These things happen.
Yes. Well, this used to be my job. It was specifically controlling the live graphics and overlays on and going to breaks and stuff on live sports. Doesn't happen that often. When Ollie's in the desk.
I was going to say, you're trying to say that if I was there.
Well, yeah, I said if they've got a half. I wasn't the best. I was decently competent at my job, though.
I would say you'd have an argument if this happened once every 3 months. But it's happened once in 5 years, and you're just like, guys, get a hold of yourselves.
There is a graphical issue once every couple of weeks.
I don't think it's as big.
I'm gonna start doing a note.
I hope you do.
A tracker.
Was it during this match as well where they made reference to their on-air spats that they had last week?
Oh, did they? What, Taz and
Shivani? Because I think Tony mentioned something, and then Taz was like, "When you call the match, dude?"
It's fun that he can laugh at himself. So afterwards, even though Cassidy didn't win, he's in the ring, and Trent and Don Callis come down. Trent's got a chair. Orange gets a chain. They're going to have a standoff, but Chris Statlander gets in between them. Looks like she's going to help Orange. I don't know why that stopped him, because she definitely turned on him last week.
Well, she was just getting in the way.
And then slapped him, but Willow Nightingale ran down, made the save, and Chris Statlander ran away and got Stokely in a piggyback.
Yeah. I smell a mixed tag match, player. Mm-hmm. And I think that match will be real good. I enjoyed this. I think I would have done without the Stokely promo bit before. Like, I think this was more effective if Chris had just stayed in the ring and then just hit Orange Cassidy without Stokely Hathaway being like, by the way, she's going to hit you now.
Mm-hmm. I do like Stokely, but yeah.
Great, yeah.
Then we get our first Jericho bit. The car pulls up. He gets out of the car and he just tells the driver, "Hey, man, that was a great job. But next time, you should come to a complete stop before whatever. So he's giving everybody advice, unsolicited.
You described this as Jericho-splaining, which I thought was very funny.
Thank you.
He also told the cameraman how to hold the camera, and then he held it poorly.
Thanks, guys. So in this one, I'm not yet annoyed.
Bingo. One of these backstage segments. All right.
Mm-hmm. I see, even two.
I see what you're doing here.
Willow then interviewed Renee interviewed Willow.
Maybe get Renee
Maybe
in the ring.
People should start. No one asks Renee how she's doing. No one asks Renee if she's going to win the match.
The denim assassin, so she wants to get into the ring.
Willow, she's such an organic, good promo. I love listening to her talk. And she brought up how she got a visual pin on Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And she's coming for her, but Cassidy walks past, do the little low effort fist bump.
Yeah.
They're a team.
I thought this was nice because it sets it sets Willow up into this feud now with Chris Statlander, but it doesn't mean that she's completely taking her eye off of the TBS Championship.
Which is really important. Yeah. And I was worried they would just sort of forget all that. I think so far they've done a good job.
Yeah.
Mark Briscoe then took on Brian Cage. This was a qualifying match, Christopher Daniels announced. Like he's got any authority around here.
He's the voice of Tony Khan.
For the Forbidden Door vacant TNT Championship ladder match. Mm-hmm. So a good match. Love Mark Briscoe. Love Brian Cage. Briscoe just kept on getting the crap beaten out of him, but he won in the end with his finishing move, not a lucky roll-up.
And his finisher is?
The arm break spot. No, it's the froggy bow. It's the froggy bow.
I really enjoyed this match. It was great seeing Mark Briscoe on TV, though I have been reliably informed he's not been on Ring of Honor since he won the world title.
We did also get to Keshta in the stands with Don Callis and Jack Perry watching on from backstage. I like that.
Yeah.
It really makes this feel like an important thing to get the TNT title.
This match not only was good, it was certainly helped by the fact it was a hot crowd for it as well.
Yeah. Where were they? Colorado.
I
think so.
What I know is they like weed there, because Max mentioned it.
Yes. Perry cut a promo afterwards down the lens, and he said no one's proven that they'll sacrifice as much as him. While he's still not clicked with me, like Tempest in the office was like, he's going to beat Kenny Omega this year or something.
Oh, that's a great shout. Yeah.
And yet that's the right thing to do if you strap the rocket to him. I personally, he's just not, he doesn't have whatever the it thing is for me, but I really like the character. This idea that he has sacrificed everything because he loves AEW as this justified, unhinged thing. It's a nice counterbalance to the goofy Okada Bucks.
Yeah.
But yeah. Renee is not being interviewed by Joe and Hook there. She's interviewing them. And Tony Nese and the Varsity Athletes turn up and they interrupt the interview. And that will probably set up a match.
Yeah, that'll be a nice little tag match on Rampage, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Or Collision.
It'll be a fun squash match.
Yeah. It's when you watch Collision and you get a video promo for the Varsity Athletes, you're like, why are you getting a video promo? And then you have the segment here, like, right, oh, okay, that explains the video package on Collision. Right, okay.
Jericho and the Learning Tree bump into 2.0 backstage. Of course, former Jericho Appreciation Society members. Daddy Magic wearing a bum bag, like every wrestler should be. And Jericho tells Matt how to commentate, because he's replacing Jericho on Rampage. And he tells Angelo how to raise a child. And then Brian Keith goes, and the child better respect Chris Jericho.
I think Brian Keith's my favourite part of this act.
Currently, yes.
Because I think the juxtaposition of what he is doing compared to what Big Bill and Jericho are doing is very entertaining.
That, I would say, that was enough for me until the later bit.
I didn't need 4.
Yeah, they just went one too far.
Or 2. Or 2 too far.
There's a catering spot.
Yeah,
that's the too far one.
You think 3 was a good number?
Yeah, because that's simple. This, and then you subvert the expectation for the third one, set up the thing next week.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think that one in the middle was just overcooked it. The Acclaimed start coming out with their entrance rap, but it is cut by the Bucks in production. They cancel the entire segment for the Acclaimed, whatever that was going to be. I guess an in-ring promo thing.
Yeah, going to cut a promo on the Bucks.
Because it's against policy for them to disparage the EVPs.
Crowd chanted BS. It did get over with a live audience. I know it's on a broken record. We talked about this before. The Acclaimed feel like they're an act that is not over on social media, but are over in every building that they're in.
But is it over with Luke Owen?
I was thinking about this morning of like, man, I really wish the Bucks were feuding with someone bigger than the Acclaimed. And then I sat back and I thought, who though? Like, what other tag team could it be?
AEW's got the best stacked tag division in the world. You know, people like FTR.
And Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. I can't really do that one anymore.
Lucha Bros.
Yeah, I mean, Lucha Bros maybe. Actually, that would have been quite good, but I feel like we've done a lot of Bucks and Lucha Bros.
Joe and Hook, maybe.
Okay, that I would have been more into. Problem is that the Jericho Vortex pulled them away.
Yeah, I can see that they're a fun live act. I don't go on social media, so I don't really care what they're saying. But for me, yeah, I'm not into the Acclaimed. I haven't been into the Acclaimed as an act for quite a long time.
Yeah, me too. I remember going into All In, and I was not really that into the Acclaimed, and I was like, I just don't think this act is as over as AEW think they are. Until I saw so many people with the foam scissor things, and there was a guy I walked past who wouldn't let me pass unless I would like scissor him every single time I tried to go to the bar. And I was like, oh, it's just me. Maybe I was in an online bubble that they're not an overact, but actually, if you go to a building where the wrestling is happening, they are hugely over.
Renee's backstage with Swerve. He cuts a promo, and when I'm listening to Swerve's promo, I'm like, he is a good promo. Why would Max say such a hurtful thing earlier? And he talked about how he said, "Welcome back, Max, you bitch." He's going to deal with him, but for tonight, he's going to beat Roderick Strong. And then he went into his baby face that I don't like. He said, I was rooting for Team AEW thingy. Don't forget me next time.
I thought it was less of that. It was more a case of I was really rooting for them, but they would have won if I was on the team.
Well, when he said, don't forget me next time, blood and guts, right?
Oh, maybe being blood and guts would be great, yeah.
Like the Elite versus Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson, MJF.
Yeah, I like
that. We got a video package, a really well done one, of Mercedes and Stephanie Vacchia being announced as a title versus title match for Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Well, the belt was made for Monet, so probably better give it back to her.
When this was happening, they announced it in the video package. I thought, I hate it when they do that. That should be a whole angle that gets announced that it's title versus title. But then I thought, this is better for Mercedes if it's edited.
Yeah.
Really nice, unexpected surprise next. Blackpool Combat Club came out full force, like they were a band from the 80s that have reunited for a new run.
In fairness, they announced this the day before the show to be like, hey, Wheeler Yuta's okay now and he can wrestle and he's cleared and we're going to do an 8-man tag. And we're like, oh, great. And then commentary said this is the first time they've wrestled as a foursome since Anarchy in the Arena last year.
It's mad, isn't it? But it was really great to see Wheeler Yuta back. Didn't realize how much I missed him and was happy for him when he returned.
Did you remember he was the Ring of Honor Pure Champion?
No.
I don't think Ring of Honor did either.
Is it still a promotion, legally? Is it? Is there a point when a promotion ceases to exist?
I mean, if a tree falls in the woods and there's not, is it a tree?
If a streaming service has less than 500, it's like TNA right now. Doesn't exist in the top 150 shows.
Is it really actually on TV?
They took on Team CMLL Forbidden Door of Volador Jr., Esfinge, Rugido, and Magnus.
Yeah. That's fun to watch. This was a very, very fun match.
Yeah, it was just moves. Did the CMLL guys not know which bit of the ring to stand on?
I get the feeling, because they were oddly in this corner.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's and actually you could see the Blackpool Combat guys being like, where'd they go?
Yeah.
Where they at?
Should we go to the opposite side? Which but then as I was watching the match, I thought Blackpool Combat Club aren't obeying the rules either. This isn't just Team CMLL.
Yeah, I think this is very much like when you do Lucha Libre tag matches. Remember when AEW first started and the Lucha Bros just kept, Jericho used to get really irate about this, would just get in without tags. And Jericho's like, why don't they obey the tag rules? Not even in a kayfabe way. It's like, no, this is just, you're in North America, you hold the rope and you tag in and out, but in Mexico it's not the same way. This match was just like, if you just get in if you want.
Yeah, that happened several times.
Yeah, if you want to get in and do a move, have at it. Aubrey Edwards there being like, go on. Legal man. Not that it matters, you can pin him if you want.
Crowd chanted, this is awesome though. It was really fun. And Yuta got the technical pin. And it was just heartwarming stuff.
Yeah, it's nice.
Jericho then goes up to the person in catering.
Sorry. It's just really funny to think of that, really. That it's a heartwarming win. That he won with the move that he stole from the guy that he betrayed so he could join the Blackpool Combat Club. Heartwarming stuff.
Do you think Cassidy's going to become the new... did he steal it from Trent?
It was Trent. It was Trent's move. Okay. He learned. I say he stole it. He learned it from Trent, but then would use it heelishly against the best friends.
This was the one that overcooked the Jericho pudding. Jericho goes up to someone in catering and just says, "That's not how you dish food onto a plate. You do it like this."
Do you know why I don't think this one worked? Because he just put food into a bowl. If he'd have put too much food into the bowl, then maybe there would have been an argument. There's a punchline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is just Jericho saying words and trying to get over his new catchphrase.
It's unfortunate that he has the perfect meta argument to negate all our criticism. So, the point of the character is to have just too much TV time. And your complaint is, I'm getting too much TV time. Mission accomplished. The catchphrase, I would say, alters between fun and annoying.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And again, I think that the Jericho meta argument would be, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah. And he's right, goddammit. Got a video package for Daniel Garcia to build the international title shot he has against Ospreay.
He doesn't have one against Ospreay.
Does he not?
Well, no, Ray Phoenix just won that shot.
I thought Garcia also had a shot.
No, he said he wants a shot, but he wants to build himself up the non-existent rankings. I would argue, Danny, that if you wanted a shot, I'd have put yourself in that 4-way.
Or the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't get to come out for the gauntlet. Can I win the world title now? He talked about his genuine car crash years ago. It was good stuff.
Good stuff.
The Acclaimed tried to confront the Elite backstage, but security were in the way of the door. This had the backstage handheld cinema verite style of that little period in TNA. Yes. Did you think the same?
I thought the same thing. When TNA went through this period, when Hogan and Bischoff took over, it was like, we can't have static cameras because what does that mean in the world of wrestling? So everything was filmed. If people were having meetings, you'd film it through the window.
Yeah. Which was one of the best things about that era,
I'd argue it's one of the only good things.
Yeah. And the guy who was in charge, I can't remember his name now, but he
David Sahadi? Was it? No, it wasn't Sahadi.
No, it was the guy who was, I think, removed last year in AEW, but he was an early production company lead for AEW.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name now. I was trying to think, Sahadi, because obviously Sahadi got fired this week by Anthem, and I was trying to rack my brain. There was a period of TNA that used to get a load of praise, and Sahadi was the guy that was behind a lot of that production-wise, and I can't remember specifically what it was. I was trying to think if it was that.
Then we got... I've written here a lot of backstage bits.
I suppose because it was the Jericho catering advice, then the Daniel Garcia video package, then the Acclaim trying to get a word with the Bucks, then the Bucks chatting with the Patriarchy.
And before that, after the Briscoe cage match, you had the Perry promo, the Renee interview with Joe and Hook, the Jericho bumps into 2.0, the Acclaimed entrance that was cut by the Bucks, Renee talking to Swerve, video package for Mercedes and Vacuo for Forbidden Door, and then the next match.
Yeah.
So I know you said this episode was well paced. I don't really agree. I think there was a lot of little snacky bits that weren't very substantial.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Times.
Yeah,
that's quite a nitpicky thing.
I think my point would be more that nothing felt rushed on the show, which it has been in the past.
The Patriarchy go up to the Bucks backstage, and Christian wants another title shot.
He was screwed against Swerve. We all saw it.
One more. What was it? What's the thing?
One more match. Yeah.
And the Bucks said, "Well, if you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours."
Yeah, I think Matt got himself into a position here. Matthew, I do apologize. The way he was acting afterwards was that he has no intentions of giving Christian another shot. That's why he was nervously looking for a bottle of water to try and clear his throat. He was almost just using Christian and the Patriarchy to take out the Acclaimed.
Right. Oh, it'll be fun to see how that develops. Then we got a really good match and overall segment, I thought.
Well, look who's changed his tune.
Not only does he now like women's wrestling, he also enjoys Toni Storm's character, and all it took was for AEW to actually figure out she's a babyface. So Mariah May versus Saraya. This was the match we were meant to get last week, but didn't happen. But that's fine. No one's upset about it.
Well, we now know why it didn't happen. Well, Mercedes had a match. And, two women's matches? Gets the step in, girls. We'll see you next week. Which instead, we'll just bump a different match we have planned for next week. Just knock them on down the line.
Toni Storm was on commentary. She called AEW where the breast wrestle. And I just thought Mariah May's been very, very good recently. I thought Saraya has really got motivated again.
Yeah.
This Harley Cameron and is it Ricky, her brother?
Yeah.
Act together. She just feels like she is.
Or is it no? Zach.
Zach.
Ricky's the other one.
It feels like she is finally doing what I wanted her to be post her initial retirement.
Yeah. I thought this was great.
And she felt heated. She did this sick looking rampage, which I thought Mariah May had taken wrong, but then Mariah just stood up and just sold it normally. I thought that's well done on that move. And then she gets her in the submission, that
the PTO
Scorpion thing, and Mariah's looking at Tony on commentary, and I thought, oh, they're going to get out of this. And then Mariah May taps.
Yeah. I was waiting to be like, I genuinely thought, how's she going to get out of this? Because she's there, like, and I was like, and she's going to look at Toni Storm and that is going to power her up. But it wasn't. It was like looking at Toni Storm in a pleading, I'm so sorry way. I'm going to break your heart here. And she tapped out.
It works in so many ways because it stops everything feeling predictable. That was a genuine, shocking result for me, at least. And it suddenly puts Saraya from just this, like, oh, she's here, we use her to elevate other talent, to, no, Saraya is kind of in the mix with Toni Storm and whoever else.
I think we probably will build to. I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes match at All In is Saraya. And you do Mercedes Saraya for the TBS Championship, built off all of their history that they have. And I think like they've been talking about this match online if there's now, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the direction. And if that is the direction, you do need to give Saraya some wins to build up some momentum to set her up as a challenger for Mercedes.
It's really, really good stuff.
It kind of accomplishes a lot of things all in the same segment.
Saraya and Harley Cameron start beating up Mariah and Toni Storm afterwards because Tony had run to help out Mariah, which causes Mina Shirakawa to run down for the save, and there's this sort of three-way love triangle thing where they're both trying to hug Mariah, but Mariah hugs them both, and they hate each other. They're fighting at Forbidden Door.
I thought their chest bumping stuff was very entertaining, very funny, and then Mariah May sort of said, basically they were doing challenges, and like, you know, I think this has been really good, and I think this has been good for like since they started doing this last month or so. So I'm glad that it's gotten over with you.
Well, it's because you said, oh, it's because Mariah May is a heel when she's with Tony and a babyface with Shirakawa. I thought, wow, oh, okay, maybe I haven't been getting it. You were wrong. Because Toni Storm and Mariah May were both babyfaces in this match.
That was last month. They're babyfaces now.
So yes, very good. Jericho's backstage. He bumps into Private Party and he says, hey guys, you should have a public party because it's way more fun when everyone's invited. They say no. And he invites them to TV time next week. So
he goes an in-ring TV time for Jericho next week.
Then we got the Danielson promo, which was great, and it set him up in the Owen Hart tournament to main event All In potentially.
And there's the argument of like wrestling doesn't only having wrestling isn't the way to do wrestling shows. Like just having wrestling for the sake of wrestling isn't the best way to do wrestling shows. I think it's the new bad faith argument for AEW, but it's segments like this that highlight why you had the match with the 8-man tag. You could say, oh, that is just wrestling for the sake of wrestling, but it's there to put over that this is Forbidden Door season and it's AEW guys versus CMLL guys. It's about the return of Wheeler Yuta and Wheeler Yuta getting a pin, because that sets up Danielson's promo and his motivations for what his next step is. So the match isn't just wrestling for the sake of wrestling. It is wrestling to set up a story for another character to do more wrestling.
If Yuta only got cleared a couple of days ago, I wonder if this was always the plan. If it was the plan but had a different motivation.
I think Danielson probably always going to go into the Owen, and then they'd be like, oh, do you know what? I could use this now that he's cleared. Give him the win, and I can use that as the fuel for my promo later on in the night.
If I was him, I'd just ask Tony Khan. He'll give you a match.
I mean, yeah. Why didn't Danielson just go... Tony Khan always talks about how he really likes him. They're really good friends and stuff. He probably would give him a match quicker than he gave Roderick Strong one.
Speaking of, we got Roderick Strong versus Swerve. Even though I'm hugely frustrated with how this match came about, it was the perfect match.
It's a great match.
Swerve just looked awesome throughout, doing his Capoeira-style transitions between moves. He did one moment charge into the corner. The coolest fist bump to Prince Nana on the outside.
Yeah.
Just looked awesome while giving Roddy enough to make it feel competitive.
When Roddy went for his the end of Heartache, the big backbreaker thing that he does, and Swerve countered that with a house call. It was bonkers. Like I feel like Swerve is trying to make a point that the house call is a good finish.
It is.
I know it is, but he's been getting a lot of criticism being like, it's not a good enough move. And so he's like posted the picture of him doing it to Christian mid-spear, being like, "Does this look rubbish to you?" So I think he's trying to make a point that this is a cool finish that can come out of nowhere. I thought it ruled.
So House Call 2 win, like you said. Very solid title defense. No angle afterwards. He just posed with Prince Nana and actual Nana in the front row. A grandma fan in the front row.
Yeah.
Who was dancing along with them.
She had a lovely little time. Yeah. Did you? Because Will wasn't on this show, and there was a report from a less than reputable website that said that he was taking time off due to the hectic schedule. Done so that it can rile up people to be like, it's only one show a week or it's two shows a week. What's this hectic schedule? Just Incredible got involved in it, and Just Incredible was being like, when I was working in the WWF, I was doing all of these matches stuff. And Will put up, Will quote retweeted being like, wish someone informed me that I was tired from the hectic schedule. And Sean Rossat replied to him being like, yeah, it's bollocks, mate. Yeah. And Will's like, well, can you sort it out? I've got Just Incredible being angry at me now.
Overall, I gave this, I think, 73%.
Yeah, I think this is a 3 out of 5 show. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah. But parts were very fun and accomplished good things. Let's do our Patreon shout-outs first.
Absolutely.
For all our wonderful backers on that service. If you go over there now, you will get 5 episodes of the breakup of the Shield, which Luke and I have been doing deep dives into.
Not only that, but you get access to the archives of WrestleTalk Extra, which has got nearly 7 years of monthly content that we have done, where we've reviewed classic wrestling pay-per-views, things like December to Dismember. We have done the Invasion 01. We've done Royal Rumble 2000. We've done a bunch of Rumbles, bunch of Elimination Chambers, bunch of SummerSlams. There's loads of stuff in the archives for just that $5. It gets you access to loads of stuff.
And as of this year, for the breakup of the Shield series, it's in video.
It's in video format. That's absolutely right. And we are now 2 episodes away from finishing this run of the breakup of the Shield, which means very soon we'll be announcing our next storyline arc. And we're very excited about this next one.
And you also get a shout out on this very show, like Ask Him, Deontay Shuron.
The Cleaner, Kenny Shah.
Nathan the Street Racing Prophet Ford.
The British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr.
He can last Sean Fur longer than you in the ring.
Starbucks, Stephen Costa.
Shield Maiden, the Zornice.
Burley, Rob Burwell.
He ran Aaron Hanrahan.
He brings the fear, Amir Jones.
Apocalypse Now.
And lastly for this Hall of Fame class, on the 6th of June 2024, Andrew Gifford, the Big Red Dog. Do you want me to fill for the dead air while you get the Ultrachats up?
Well, no, I was reading the moderator's chat and they said, oh my God, this confirmed. I was like, is this news? I think it's a joke. Right.
Oh, those mods.
Kevin says, my pitch for the Owen, Brian faces 2 giants, Killswitch and Wardlow, for example, and barely beats them to advance to the final against MJF, but he's found unconscious in the locker room and the Elite disqualify him from the Owen. His replacement is Hangman, who comes back to face MJF in the finals. The Elite help Hangman win to set up the Page versus Swerve 3 at Wembley. Meanwhile, MJF feuds with the Elite, which leads to MJF Okada at Wembley. Brian teams with Kenny against the EVPs. That's good. That's actually quite good.
I really like that, Kevin. And also, like Brian and Kenny versus the Bucks. That's a really good match.
I don't think Kenny's going to be ready though. So what you do is Nigel McGuinness teams with Brian.
No!
It looks like McGuinness is going to side with the Elite. He steps over the ring to side with Brian.
Oh, I love that. Oh.
Kevin, again, I really like the women's division direction for Forbidden Door. It's not only about putting the best from different promotions, but there's also story elements into it. Swerve had an interesting line about not being in Team AEW. Brian Keith was really funny.
Yeah.
Golden Knights Fan 84. Hello, Luke and Ollie. Didn't enjoy this episode at all. The wrestling was solid, don't get me wrong, as was MJF. As always, he's my scumbag. But there were far too many...
I'd imagine.
Effing segments backstage with the Bucks and Perry, ruin the show, and Jericho can F off. 2 out of 5.
It's amazing you'd say there were too many segments with the Bucks. I think they had 2.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe 3.
Yeah, but, when I listed, I can see how you would think there's quite a lot of backstage bits.
It's because they all came in one chunk, which I think is bad.
Andy Sandbox, you mentioned the Big Six, and it made me wonder, do you believe we are at the point now that we should have hotshot belt swapping between some major players that could elevate everyone? Everyone beating everyone, belt moving around over a year.
I mean, the hottest period of time in the year 2000, belt swaps a lot. Like, the Attitude Era, the belt is changing hands all the time. The argument against that, though, was that it devalued the world title. And one of the reasons why people feel like world titles are significant nowadays is because people have longer reigns with them.
I wish AEW had fewer belts, because then I would like to see a bit of hot-shotting. I thought they could have done that between Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. I felt like they were all at the exact same level, and believably, it could just go between them for a month or two.
Yeah, I suppose what you don't want to do is end up like WWE was in 2005 through to 2021, 2022, where like they would just swap belts willy-nilly. We made the joke, we're going through 2014 at the moment for Patreon. John Cena is a 15-time world champion in 2014. He won his first title in 2005. He was a 15-time world champion in 10 years. That means that he is a terrible world champion. And that means that's when the world title meant nothing. Like, that CM Punk reign is the only one that people really remember because it's a lengthy one. Title sex tape.
At the same time, though, if WWE are doing longer and longer title reigns, there's an argument to do the opposite.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be as WCW.
No. Anonymous. Afternoon, lads. I definitely see Nigel McGuinness costing Danielson the Owen Cup final. They've more or less teased it on Twitter with Danielson reposting the backstage promo from last night, and Nigel replied just saying, ooh, so the seeds are planted.
Love Nigel.
Charlesburg. Learning Tree Jericho is quickly becoming one of my favourite characters. He's such a prick, I guess. It's wonderful. Really enjoy him sharing all his knowledge through his 3 decades of experience. I think MJF will have a couple feuds that lead to a fight with the Elite.
I think MJF going up against the Elite, I think, is a big time match to do.
Of course, Charlesburg enjoys the learning. Nikki J. Smith. Guys, Jericho was just showing the graphics guy how to do his job better during the Woo Energy promo. Lol. Please no new belts. Just make the Owen and Intergender tag tournament next year and use those belts. C2 for singles and add a women's bracket.
A women's C2 I think would be really, really great this year. I mean, here's the other thing you could do with the Owens is not have the belts.
Yeah.
Because the belts they're there for like a month and a bit and then you never see them again. Like, Willow doesn't walk around with her title from last year.
Blake Whitehouse, based off a lot of discussions I've read and heard, it says a lot that people put Swerve losing his title after 2 months in the same area of lameness as Ospreay taking a non-storyline influence clean loss to the kayfabe top guy in the company. But Swerve losing his title after 2 months. Okay, like you lose either way, either Swerve lose or Ospreay loses.
Yeah, but I don't think Swerve loses anything in losing to... Sorry, I don't think Ospreay loses anything in losing to the top champion.
Yeah. I think Swerve would lose more out of the two.
Yeah, I think so.
Fergal McClements is a 10-month member. Do you think WWE is still the main place to be and Ospreay and MJF would become a lot more well thought of if they did it in WWE?
No. I think everywhere is a great place to work.
The Black Prince. Hi guys, I missed you for the Raw review, so I'm sending this now. I'm going to Clash next week, and it's my first ever live event, but my anxiety is playing up whenever I think about it. Have you got any advice to make it easier for a first timer? Big love, heart emoji.
I have not suffered from that level of anxiety in public places, so I don't think I'm the best person to offer up advice for that, I'm afraid to say. Because my advice would just be to have fun, but I don't think that feels like it's patronizing advice, because it's someone who is struggling with something. To me, be like, I just ignore it.
Just stop being anxious.
That's what it feels like I'm saying, but I'm not trying to say that. But yeah, it's trying to find whatever it is that can make you enjoy it the most, but I don't know what that is. I'm quite bad at this sort of thing.
Other people tend to be the best resource. So if you've got friends, or you can meet friends there, or something.
Yeah, it depends. Like if you're going on your own or going with a big group of people. Yeah, I mean it's going to be busy. It's going to be packed.
I think maybe if you when you're leaving, maybe just wait for everyone to leave, and then you've got a clear path to leave. But yeah, that's at the end. You would have probably, if you're still there, you would have adapted to that level of people by that point.
Yeah, or if you're that uncomfortable, you can always leave early, and there's no shame in that either.
Justin Edelheat finally as a 17-month member. This is from the Raw review. We all know what this is leading to. Rhea versus Liv in a custody of Dominic ladder match. Book it, Papa H.
Yeah, we had a lot of people say that on the Raw podcast, including myself and Dan.
Book it, Papa H, or cook it. No.
It feels wrong when you say it.
My lady partner said, I've learned a new bit of slang. I said, what is it? She said, touching grass. I said,
please.
And she thought it was about, maybe you need a break. Go outside and enjoy the nature.
Yeah.
So, no. And please, it is NXT Battleground this Sunday with Jordan Grace fighting for the Women's Championship. Very exciting stuff. It's live in Wrestle League. Use the link, hopefully in the video description or somewhere on the chat.
It's in the video description. Our moderators will be posting it as well. It is our Prediction Warfare. It's an online service. It's completely free to sign up for, where you can not only predict against all the other members of the WrestleTalk fandom, but you can also compete against us as well. We're also in predictions. Ollie and I are currently tied on points.
Right at the top.
Right at the top. Certainly of our office pool anyway, not the actual league itself. No, not the league itself. But, there's still time. There's still time to claw it back. But, we're currently tied on points. You can predict against us, predict against everyone else. It is a wonderful, wonderful time. And there are prizes to be won if you do come first.
But for now... Oh, no, we need the poll results.
We do need the poll results.
Mod Mother would have been angry at me.
Yeah. It's another low one. Not as low as Raw, but is still low. 64% thumbs up, 27 in the middle.
Right. Well, thanks very much for joining us here today. And go and check out the WrestleTalk news video from earlier today about WCW.
What?
Is it coming back? Who knows?
Probably not.
Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.